Generation Alpha is the first group of humans to grow up with smartphones and tablets in their hands before they could even speak in full sentences. By the time they're 2, many of them can already unlock a phone, scroll through apps, and play simple games. And no, it's not just Cocomelon on YouTube. They actually know how to use these devices. This level of early tech exposure is shaping them deeply. But how will they shape the world in return? Now, let's be honest. The idea of generations can be a little clumsy. Trying to define millions of people born within a 15-year window using a few broad traits feels limiting. Still, there's something useful about the idea. People who grow up during the same events often share certain patterns, how they react to the world, how they live, what they value. Think about housing. It's not just an economic issue, it's generational. How boomers experience it isn't how millennials or Gen Alpha will. So who is Gen Alpha? They're the kids born between 2010 and 2025. The oldest are just stepping into their teens. The youngest are still being born. So how can we possibly predict what they'll do? Well, we don't know exactly. But one thing is already certain. Technology is their world. It's the water they swim in. We often see tech as just another tool, a way to express ourselves or get things done. But that's not the full story. Technology doesn't just serve us, it changes us. The tools we build end up building us. Mobile screens aren't just delivering messages. They're changing how we think, feel, and interact, especially for kids. Studies already show that too much screen time affects how young brains develop. It can delay speech, lower comprehension, and even alter how families connect with one another. And Gen Alpha. They're growing up not just with screens, but in them. Many of them will enter their teens with social media accounts. That means their sense of identity, their view of each other and themselves, will be filtered through likes, comments, and algorithms. The idea of a global village, once just theory, is now reality. We're connected to thousands of people online, but our brains were never built for that kind of scale. We evolved to know about 150 people, tops. Beyond that, our minds start to glitch. So it's not surprising that anxiety and depression are becoming more common, especially among teens, and Gen Alpha is growing up in this storm. Now they're heading into high school. They're being asked to write essays, build projects, learn to code, all while AI tools sit quietly in their tabs, ready to write the whole thing for them. And it's not just homework, it's the way they think. If AI is doing the heavy lifting, if it's guiding their ideas, what happens to creativity, to original thought? We risk raising a generation that skips the hard part, the part where thinking gets shaped. Many Gen Alpha kids also lived through the pandemic during their most critical developmental years. They were isolated. Their first connections weren't always with people, but with screens. That's made them incredibly tech-savvy, but also in some ways more emotionally fragile. They're also being raised by Millennials, a generation marked by social media, financial stress, and a growing awareness of mental health and climate change. Millennial parents talk openly about things their own parents never would have. And since many millennials are having fewer kids, Gen Alpha children are often growing up in smaller households, with closer relationships to their parents and to screens. So what are we seeing? Strong digital skills, a hunger for knowledge, quick thinking, but also shorter attention spans, more self-focus, and sometimes a disconnection from others. Of course, these are trends, not destinies. The tools they grow up with don't seal their fate, but they do shape the paths available to them. The real question isn't, will Gen Alpha change the world? The question is, what kind of world are we handing to them? It's tempting to blame kids for being glued to screens. But let's not forget, we built the apps, we made the algorithms. The digital world they're growing up in didn't appear out of nowhere. Tech often moves faster than we can regulate it. By the time we understand the consequences, the damage is often already done. And the truth is, we're not always great at putting limits on ourselves. But lately, something's shifting. More and more people are starting to feel it. The fatigue, the emptiness of always being online. We want something real again. We're seeing it in how people respond to VR, headsets or the metaverse. Excitement, yes, but also hesitation. Many of us are starting to realize that what's missing isn't more tech, It's connection, that desire, to feel grounded, to belong, to be present. It's still there. It always has been. So maybe, just maybe, Gen Alpha won't just be shaped by technology. Maybe they'll help reshape our relationship with it. But they can't do it alone. They'll need guidance, boundaries, adults who model something better. Because while resistance is possible, it's harder for a child. They're still learning what matters. And they're looking to us to show them. In the near future, Generation Alpha could take one of two radically different paths, each shaping the world in ways we can't yet fully grasp. Imagine a future where this generation fully embraces technology, diving deep into new and emerging platforms. Social media, in its most advanced form, becomes a mental hive. Picture Mind Hive, a space where your thoughts and emotions are instantly captured, transformed into shareable content by artificial intelligence. With the latest version of Neuralink, this becomes the norm. Your dreams too could be shared automatically if you don't disable that setting. In this reality, technology blurs the lines between our inner and outer worlds. In this future, Generation Alpha stops caring about privacy. To them, there's no need to hide their inner lives from others. They willingly share their thoughts, evaluated by peers online. If they face rejection, they find like-minded communities that embrace their unfiltered ideas, whether those ideas are helpful, dangerous, or simply neutral. Anxiety and depression grow, but the apps respond. Meditation. Sessions embedded into their feeds offer brief moments of peace. While some skip past them, others find them valuable. These algorithms balance content that stirs negative emotions with uplifting media, just enough to keep them engaged, ensuring their mental wellness remains intact. Life beyond the screen? It's a world where AI becomes more than just a tool. It's an intimate part of how they interact with the world. Generation Alpha will lose many skills that once required effort, skills that once demanded critical thinking. It's a lot like the shift from manual to automatic cars, a loss of control, but a more relaxed journey. The creative world shrinks as AI generates more and more content. Human-created works will become niche, akin to handcrafted items. Few will notice or care if something is made by AI. Movie studios will rely on generative AI, and soon actors and writers could be replaced by digital avatars. The 2023 writer and actor strikes were a glimpse into this future, but AI will eventually surpass the need for even the best actors and writers. This world, though, won't be full of blockbuster movies. Generation Alpha will look at physical work, trades, jobs they have to do to survive. But with fewer job opportunities, wages will fall and unemployment will rise. Society becomes poorer, but they find solace in their digital worlds. Face-to-face interactions will be rare. Screens will be used for nearly every social exchange. Their identities will be tied to their online personas, with less attention given to physical appearance. Education becomes entirely digital, where apps, not professors, guide their learning. Written exams are gone. Instead, they prompt AI with precision to demonstrate knowledge. Some may still read books, but for many, knowledge will come from apps and games. This future might seem alien, even frightening to those who grew up with home phones, but for Generation Alpha, it will feel like the natural progression of life. But there's another possibility. In this alternative future, the mental health issues driven by social media and AI become too much to bear. Generation Alpha decides to pull back, withdrawing from the internet altogether. They will become acutely aware of how algorithms shape their online experience, and that realization will drive them away from the platforms that once consumed them. The internet, once a space for social connection, becomes hollow. AI-generated content fills the void, but it no longer holds the same allure. Without human interaction, the internet loses its appeal. They'll seek privacy. The internet will feel fake, filled with scams and AI-driven content designed solely to profit from them. These digital avatars, once symbols of connection, will become tools for utility, not entertainment. With less focus on social media, Generation Alpha will use the internet for practical purposes only. The internet of today as a space for leisure will crumble. In this world, Generation Alpha still faces financial struggles, but they've broken free from the grip of digital distractions. They'll read more books, socialize in person, and work together to tackle society's problems. As adults, they'll look back at their millennial parents' concerns with technology and feel a sense of resolve. They'll reject the digital chains that once held them. This shift won't be without precedent. In the early 1800s, a group of English workers, the Luddites, rebelled against the industrial machines that were taking their jobs. They weren't anti-technology. They were rejecting the way technology was reshaping their lives. Generation Alpha, like the Luddites, may not despise technology. They just may wish to reclaim control over their world. The two futures I've painted are starkly different, but neither is set in stone. The world is constantly changing. Climate change, the rise of AI, and unforeseen disruptions could radically alter the course of history. It's easy to predict the future based on current trends, but we cannot fully know what lies ahead. After Psyche, all we once feared that technology would enslave us, and yet here we are navigating it. Each generation has shaped the world that follows, and so too will Generation Alpha shape the world to come. What's clear is that whatever happens, we can't simply sit back and wish for the past. Change is inevitable, and while we may not control it, we can learn to navigate it. Generation Alpha will do the same. The tools of the future are theirs to wield. Whether they embrace or reject them, they will find their own way. And maybe, just maybe, we're looking at the future through the wrong lens, pining for a past that no longer exists. As the Stoics would say, we control only our reactions to what the world brings. So rather than fearing the future, we should prepare ourselves to meet it with openness. The world may be changing, but that doesn't mean happiness is beyond our reach. Generation Alpha will find its path. And perhaps, in a future we can't yet fully imagine, there's hope for all of us.